The next type of operators that we have is logical operators. Now this is going to give you some nostalgia of your 9th class and 10th class. 9th class and 10th class. How? In 9th class and 10th class, you might have heard about Boolean logic gates. You must have heard this word logic gates. You might remember these kind of diagrams, right? Might remember these kind of diagrams like this, right? Logic gates, remember, right? So what were logic gates? What were logic gates? Logic gates were electronic circuits, or technical logic gates are electronic circuits that take some input. They take some input. Input is in the form of a boolean. Input is in the form of a boolean, true or false. In the electronic circuit, what does true means? That there is a flow of current in the wire. What does false means? There is no current flow, right? So logic gates are some electronic devices which takes multiple inputs. These inputs are always in the form of true or false. Like when you actually build the circuit, then in actual circuit it's like there in one input there is current, in one input there is no current. But when you actually understand it, it is in the form of like true or false. When there is a current, it's a true. No current, it's a false. And based on some logic inside, it used to give some output, and that output is also going to be a boolean, true or false. Remember, right? So you might have heard about a lot of logic gates. For example, AND gate, OR gate, NOT gate, XOR gate. A lot of gates you might have heard about, right? So I can also show you some diagrams so that you guys are able to recall. So let me show you logic gates. So you might have seen images like these, right? I'm definitely sure that around in your class 10th or somewhere you must have seen these images, so you know about these, right? So now if you know about these gates, let me first quickly talk about each gate so that we can just refresh our memory once. How AND gate works. So AND gate takes two inputs, X, Y, right? And then it gives you some output X and Y. So let's try to have those inputs. Okay, cool. So if the first input is X, second input is Y, let's see how it works. If X is true, and Y is true, right? Or let's take this example instead. Let's say if X is false and Y is false, that means there is no current in anyone. False and false is false. Okay. If one input is true, that is X is true, Y is false, then also the output is false. If X is false, Y is true, then also the output is false. If both of them are true, then the answer is true, right? So if both of them are true, then the answer is true. If any one of them is a false, then the answer is false. This is AND gate, right? Let's talk about OR gate. Okay. X, Y, X or Y. Okay. If now in the OR gate, if X is false, Y is false, then X or Y is also false. But if X is, let's say, false, Y is true, then X or Y is true. If X is true, Y is false, then also the answer is true. If both of them are true, then also the answer is true. This is OR gate. Whereas we have one more gate, that is NOT gate. We have NOT gate also. NOT gate just takes one input, that is one input X, and it just gives you the output. So if you just have one input, that means X can be either true or it can be false. If the input is true, the NOT gate will give you false. If the input is false, the NOT gate will give you true. So these are the three major gates. There are more gates like NAND gate, NOR gate, XOR gate, all those. But for the timing, we need to focus on only these three, because these three are our major concerns in logical operators. So first of all, we need to just make sure that we understand how these logic gates work. Basically, if you look at this, right? If you look at this, then it feels like when both of the inputs are false, then it gives you false. If both of the input are true, then it gives you true. If any one input is false, then also it gives you false, right? It looks like this. This is how it is taught in the schools also. But it's not like that, actually. Gates doesn't directly, like, there is a concept of short circuiting that we are going to talk about in a moment, right? And I'll tell you how to actually interpret these tables. But I believe everyone knows about this, right? Now, coming back to logical operators. What are logical operators? So logical operators will be having two operands, operand 1 and operand 2. Okay, operand 1 and operand 2. And in between, you will be having your corresponding operator, either AND operator, OR operator, or NOT operator. Inside AND and OR, you need two operands. So let me write it here. These need two operands. Whereas NOT operator needs only one operand. But like, how do you write logical AND? How do you write a logical AND? If you have to write a logical AND, let me write it here. If you have to write a logical AND in JavaScript, you write double ampersand without a space, double ampersand. This will represent AND gate or AND operator. If you have to write an OR operator, then you have to put double pipe. You have to put double pipe. It's not L, it's not I, it's a pipe, double pipe. It must be above your enter button, must be somewhere around above your enter button. And if you have to put a NOT gate, then you have to give this tilde sign. Tilde is going to be to the left of your one button on your keyboard, right? So this is how you give operators, right? So if you have to give AND gate, so this is the AND operator, this is the OR operator, this is the NOT operator. Okay. Now, yeah, this is called as pipe. This is called as pipe. So you have to give double pipe. You have to give double pipe, right? So pipe is just above your enter key, right? You can Google about it. Where is the pipe in your keyboard? So let's say, now what about the operands? So the operand that you pass, are always going to be some logical Boolean operand, right? It is going to be some logical Boolean operand. Boolean, right? So let me give you an example. So let's say if you do something like console.log true and false. Now this and is an AND gate. True is what? Just a true. False is a false. True and false. True and false is false. So the output will be false. Output will be false. Right? This is one way to use them. There is one more way. Console.log. You put something like 10 greater than 5 and 6 less than 3. Now just think about it. We have kind of like nested the relational operator. These are like relational operators and then we have a logical operator also. But we know, right, relational operators always return you a boolean, right? So what is 10 greater than 5? 10 greater than 5 is true, and what is 6 less than 3? 6 less than 3 is false. So this is technically a true, and false. True and false is a false. Can I say that? Right. So let's demonstrate this example. Logical operators. Console.log. True and false, or maybe console.log false or false, or maybe console.log true and true, or maybe console.log 5 less than 10 and 6 less than 3, console.log not of 3 greater than 4. Right, let's try to run them. So if you run this file, let me clear it, run this file, let's see. So the first output is false. Why? True and false is a false. Second output is also a false. Why? Because false or false is a false. Third output is a true. So see, output is true, true and true is true. Then fourth output, this is 5 is less than 10. This is true. Is 6 less than 3? False. True and false is false. This is something different. If you do 3 greater than 4, it is kind of like giving you -1. This is we are going to come back. This is we are going to come back. It's a very interesting thing behind it. Whereas if you do something like not of true, let's just try to write not of true. Now you're getting -2. You see, you're getting -2, right? So we're going to discuss about this complement, this not operator. This is going to require more in-depth understanding. But first of all, let's just go to and or, and let's first of all understand all the cases of and or. There are a lot of cases that we have to discuss. So basically, if there is directly true and false, it is going to evaluate it as true and false. If there is not directly true and false, then it is trying to see whether it is a Boolean true expression or it is a Boolean false expression. That's what it is going to try to do, right? So this is what logical operators are. This is not yet completed. We are going to discuss a few more things in logical operators, but I hope the basic understanding of logical operator is clear to everyone. So one thing to clarify, not gate is the exclamation sign. I by mistake told it is the tilde. It is the exclamation sign. Actually, tilde is a different operator. We have bitwise operators also. So it is the bitwise not. So that is a separate thing. I'll talk about it today. But not gate is this exclamation sign, right? So if you want to see the not gate with exclamation sign, you can see right like this, console.log not false. If you run it, now you see not of false is true, right? So this is the logical not. Okay, this is logical not.